have anything to say. Jamie Siraj, man, sounds like frustration is in the air for you. I've wanted to talk to you for quite some time. I didn't even interview you prior to your last fight. So maybe before we get into everything in terms of Vegas and all that kind of stuff, let's just touch on, the emotional journey that was, because I spoke with you over a year ago, if not longer. We did that video where you were supposed to come back. The comeback didn't happen. More health stuff. You didn't get past. Finally, uh, Battlefield Fight League 77 in June of last year, you made your return, and with triumphant fashion. Like, the emotions were there. Everyone was hyped to see you get inside the cage finally again. And then a canceled bout against Ryan Rohovich, which we'll get to as well. But just talk to me about the journey to finally get back inside the cage, man, because, like, holy crap, all of us in the arena obviously were stoked to see you get in there. But what was it actually like walking up the cage stairs and stepping foot inside that cage again?
Yeah, it was definitely yeah, surreal doesn't even really begin to describe it. It was pretty it was like a whole different experience than any other fight before, just because mentally going into it, obviously there's like a lot of unknown, um from everything to, how's my body going to react to cutting weight again? How's my body going to hold up going to a full training camp? Um, and other than the actual performance itself, which I wasn't the happiest about, um, it was amazing. The energy in the arena was crazy. The amount of support I had there was, it was like almost, it was so overwhelming after the fact, because it was already such a kind of an emotional roller coaster going, into the fight,
Yeah.
and then winning the fight winning the fight against a guy that not a lot of people thought was a good idea for me to take a first fight back with. And then I feel like I just kind of put myself in this position where I really wanted to not only show that I was back in the cage, but I could, be back in the level of competition I was at before. I wasn't looking for any favors or any, handouts, and that's not what I got. And the level of opponent, I think, was very fitting for the story that was kind of playing out leading into the fight. So, I mean, everything went amazing. The support after was incredible. The amount of love and messages and just people that were messaging me after the fight was it was pretty overwhelming, to be honest, and I was incredibly grateful for every bit of it.
You said there that other than the performance itself. Now, to be honest, you were out of action for quite some time. So the fact that you were able to get that cage time probably was sort of a bit of a weight off your shoulder as well. Like, that your cardio is there, that you've got the grit and all that kind of stuff, but probably a good thing for your first fight back to actually get in there and get that cage time.
Definitely, I got full 15 minutes. I got pretty well acquainted, and I felt like I was just starting to loosen up the more and more the fight was going on. But it was kind of like this weird performance for me, where it was like right before the fight, I felt like I was about to have the most like highlight reel performance of my career. Like, I was so sharp in the training camp, I was so sharp in the back room, and then uh, I had someone say something to me right before I walked out that just made me feel like, holy shit, I just need to win now, and I just wanted to get a hold of the guy and control him, and it kind of threw me off. But
What'd they
you
say?
know, someone just, I could hear someone, I don't even know who it was. It was someone in my team, whoever the fuck it was. I gotta tell them to chill out next time. But they're like, every bit of suffering and everything that you went through was for this moment. The UFC and everything is on the line now. It's time to go fucking get it. And I was like, oh, well, I guess it is. Holy shit. So it was kind of just an overwhelming sensory overload right
Yeah.
before I'm already feeling a bit of nerves and pressure. But I mean, hey, it kept me on my toes. It kept me sharp. But, I think really at the end of the day, it's just not having that comfortability factor of spending so much time away from the cage is more what had to do with that rather than what was actually said to me. I just would like to use some comedy thinking that that's why I performed. In my opinion, knowing what I'm capable of, I performed like shit.
And how much was it? Like I said, it was a weight off your shoulder to be able to get that cage time, but it must have been a weight off your shoulder as well to actually get cleared by the doctors, because that's what stopped you the first time coming back into the cage, was the fact that, the clearance didn't happen. Like, were you worried leading up about that fact?
Well, when you kind of have a story based off of being a sick person with a life-threatening disease, you always kind of do wonder when that information is there to the public, how far are they going to dive into that? Luckily for me, I was pretty proactive in the sense of just in case they needed a note from my doctor, I got a note from my doctor, I got a note from my rheumatologist, and everything like that. I because of what happened with my face and everything like that, I had a note from a dermatologist as well. So I was kind of pretty proactive on it, where I didn't think there would be any concerns, but at the same time, you don't really know
Yeah,
because um, every commission's different. But no, I'm as healthy can be right now. I'm in such a place in my life where like those thoughts now just don't even come to mind.
which is
I'm just so
awesome.
full. It's a great. It's my. I'm back to. I'd like to refer them as I'm back to first world problems.
Yeah.
I'm back to. I'm not in a coma, dying on my deathbed, and
Yeah.
wondering, where my next meal is going to come from because of, not being able to work and stuck and on the verge of being homeless. And my life's pretty damn good at this point. I feel like I really count my blessings, and I don't really have anything to bitch or complain about after going through what I have. So just gotta kind of roll with the punches.
For sure. Now, before that last little hiatus where you were supposed to fight, you spent most of your time, full training camps and whatnot, with Joey and the guys at Pinnacle. But leading into this fight, the return fight, you made a move and transition and started cross training and training a bit with Kajan again at TriStar. Talk to me about how that came about, and the fact that you made your way back there, because there was like, you left TriStar for a while there and then full circle, back to the roots.
Yeah, I just feel like there were, I think I don't think this is saying too much. Where it was just there was just a communication error with me and Kajan at the time, and we weren't seeing eye to eye on a couple things. But at the end of the day, there's not a coach in this game that knows me better than Kajan. He's my first ever MMA coach. The first day I ever walked onto the mats, um, he was an amazing coach to me, and he's always been like when I was a kid, like a father figure, and now he's very much like a big brother figure to me. And even when we weren't seeing eye to eye on things, we always had a lot of love for each other, and it was never it's just I feel like certain times in life people drift away, and you find your way back if that those people are meant to kind of be in your life. And I not only have an amazing chemistry with Keijan as a coach, but Keijan's a great person, and he's got a really good heart, and he really cares about his athletes, and he really cares about the development of his athletes. And it's definitely in my best interest to have Keijan in my corner and have Keijan overseeing a lot of things that objectively he feels I need to work on, and I really trust in his guidance in that sense as well. So it feels like having that MMA coach figure back in a training camp like that is it's only going to be helpful, and especially a guy who has that experience at the highest level.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. Now, let's move forward. Obviously, post fight, there was the talks. Was it going to be Dana White's Contender Series? We're going to get a crack at the UFC. Was it going to be the Ultimate Fighter? Which sort of those talks just came about recently, maybe at the last Battlefield, because I know Darcy McBride interviewed you. He talked about the Ultimate Fighter. There was talks about all that kind of stuff, and then we have the Instagram post where you're posting yourself down in Vegas. And then there was something that came up, and you're back here in Vancouver. You said something out of your control, but just tell me about the trip down to Vegas and what sort of transpired. Why you're not on the show, man?
Yeah, I mean, without saying too much, that's gonna get myself into shit. There's NDAs that are signed.
Okay.
But uh, basically, long story short, they, I believe that there was supposed to be different coaches. They decide to come up with a different theme of the Ultimate Fighter, and for some reason, uh, my story and I don't know. I to be honest, there was a conversation had that I'm not really supposed to say too much on, but I will say this, which I've already tapped on to with my post, is that it's objectively had nothing to do with my fighting ability and it had nothing to do with my story. There's a theme that they are trying to go, as you could see from the cast, of how many people they got from different countries. Um, and they're really trying to have a very international themed Ultimate Fighter. And for some reason, they don't feel tapping into the Canadian market for this is beneficial at 145. I don't know why. I will say this: they did not pick the best guys there. Not only myself, but a couple other guys that got sent home from the show as well. Um, I believe they sent home probably the better guys. There was only one or two guys that made it on the show that I really viewed as stiff competition. I mean, you could look at the cast. They got 125ers that are, let's just be honest. When you're reaching 35, 36, 37, you should have already kind of established your record in your career to have already had your shot. That's kind of when you're on your way out. And uh, there's multiple guys on the show that don't have even a win over a guy with a winning record. You know, there was a couple questionable calls in the sense of just uh, not understanding why they would pick someone like that over someone like me who's battle tested, has a great story in the sense of, I've been on my deathbed, come back, come back and beat an undefeated prospect from Mexico, um, who's just knocking everyone out. And I come back here and on my worst night of my career, I dominated him for 3 rounds. And I try to stay busy in between that. Things don't work out, but um, long story short, man, they just I kind of feel like they just fucked the dog on it, man. Like I don't know what to say. I was clearly one of the better guys there. I got to train with a couple of train in front of a couple guys from the show, multiple coaches that put in a really good word for me, multiple people that were shocked. I saw text messages of certain people vouching for me and let know we should keep this guy on the show, like his story and everything. It didn't happen, and to be honest, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't completely devastated. I didn't really have. I was kind of blindsided by it, to be honest. I thought I was on the show. I thought from all the communication and everything that I was on the show. So there was alternates that went down there just in case. But I kind of thought a bit of a suspicion when a whole new group of fighters showed up one day and they weren't there all week, and most of those guys ended up getting on the show. And I kind of had a bad feeling when I came back from my run that night that I don't know why. I had a really negative feeling, and like that's why I went for like a 10-kilometer run, and I literally come back in the hotel from my run, and that's when I get the call, and they came out to my room and talked to me, and They assured me it had nothing to do with me as a fighter. It had nothing to do with my story, my excitement factor, how I fight, how I finish fights. It just they wanted to go a different route with the season. Um, they didn't pick the best guys. I don't know what the objective or the theme of this show is. I mean, I thought the Ultimate Fighter is about finding the best prospects that have amazing stories, and I don't know one guy that was there that had a crazier story, that had a more violent highlight reel than myself. And I don't get it. I still don't get it, to be honest. But I made so many good connections, and the producers of the show, they're absolutely incredible, and they were great to me. I had a great experience in the sense I got to meet some really cool guys. I got to meet Jonathan Ramsey from Canada here, who was
Yep.
brought down here as well. I got to meet Nate. I can't pronounce that, Garibir or something. And Victor Kuis. All these cool dudes from the states that I made a good connection with. So the trip in total, it was more positive than negative. Although, um, I when I arrived there and I saw the guys that were there, I was about 150,000% certain I was going to
Yeah.
win that show.
So obviously it went a different route, and you can't say that, you know, they're looking for the best story out there, because obviously, like you said, it had nothing to do with your story, because arguably it might have been the best story on the entire season. If you talk about being on your deathbed, and if they had any of the images or videos or whatnot, and displayed that along with the whole journey, man, like, I don't know what to say. But at the end of the day, it might be a blessing in disguise, because the tough house isn't always the best way to get to the UFC, right? Like, we still have Dana White Contender Series. You could be you could just get called up to the UFC. So in your mind, you got to take another fight, right?
Absolutely. I'm not waiting. I'm not having another long layoff. And I feel like people that wait wait things out are people that are scared of risking their spot. I'm not scared to fucking risk my spot against anybody. And as of right now, there's a couple fight offers that are being offered to me right now. Obviously, I think it makes the most sense for me to stay in Battlefield, just being in the fact that it's my hometown. I can make the most money out here, and I feel like Battlefield is such a good platform, getting people to the UFC, Dana White's Contender Series, et cetera, et cetera. Um, I'm pretty sure with where I'm at, I probably could wait till Contender Series, but I think the best thing for me right now in my career is to just book something and immediately. We're not just looking in Canada; we're looking in the States as well. Um, and I just want to stay busy. I've had one fight in the past 4 years. That's just
Mm-hmm.
it pisses me off when I look at the guys that when I was 8-2, and these guys are brand new, starting their pro careers. Some of them have gotten to the UFC. Some of them have, PFL, Bellator. Like, it's been incredibly frustrating the years that passed me when I was sick and I had no control, and now I have control, and then I'm just dealing with, and then just even promoters too that will kind of offer you these things last minute, where, okay, I have no problem taking that fight, but you want me to come in on 2 weeks notice. The guy will not budge on, making weight or any comment. You want to pay me incredibly
Yeah.
shitty to come out here fight. Like I'm also not begging. I'm not a beggar either. I am in a good place, and I will risk my spot 100% with a great matchups and everything. But I'm also in this place where, you know, let's come to an agreement. Let's get me a good opponent. Let's get someone with a winning record that's game as fuck. That's not gonna pull out. And I feel like with where I'm at right now, I wouldn't want to come into something underprepared as well. So
For
I
sure.
don't think it's unfair where I'm at to ask that. I just want good notice against a good opponent with a winning record. That's it.
Two things from that, and then I have one more question for you, then I'll let you go then. So you say, obviously, winning record, the pedigree, whatnot, good opponent. Judging from your Instagram, you're always in fight shape. You're always ready. You're in the gym nonstop. So is May 9th BFL 80 too soon for you then?
No, no. I mean, from what I was told, I was supposed to be fighting this week on the Ultimate Fighter. So I am, obviously took a little bit of a deload from the weekend and stuff like that. When I got back home. But no, May 9th is perfect timing. That is amazing timing. I think that's kind of the date that we kind of have locked down, and there's been a couple fight offers, so we're just looking to see which one makes the most sense, and just making sure too, like I've done a lot of training camps, and even back when my fight with Ryan Rohovich got canceled, I cut weight 3 weeks in a row where I was literally on fight weight
Yeah.
for, I was supposed to go fight in Vegas. I'm about to announce it. Oh, I was supposed to go fight LFA, about to go announce it. A guy doesn't want to take his short notice. Well, we got to fight for you at 170. Motherfucker, I'm a 45. I'm not even that big. I'm not even that big of a 45 either. Like, there's guys that are a lot bigger at the weight class than me. Shit, man, just fucking like I just need it somewhat fair. You know what I mean? Like I shouldn't have to, And then just all this bullshit, like people trying to tell me, oh, take a pay cut. And I don't do it for the money on the local regional circuit, but at the same time, man, like fuck, it's just be fucking reasonable. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I'm not trying to call too many names out, but the people that will listen to this and they feel offended, it's you.
Well, then, speaking of that, and you spoke about Ryan, twice canceled. Once on your part because of health reasons, once on his because we don't even need to get into that. But is his name off of the sheet then at this point?
Oh, oh, that guy can go take a royal class trip to go fuck himself. There's no one in this industry that I can say I have legitimate, like, just absolutely not a shred of respect for. Number one, the guy's a shit fighter. He's horrible. He's not good anywhere. Number two, he's like twice or three times the size of me. Um, and I was willing to take the fight just to like kind of embarrass him for like how much shit he talked about me and like saying that I'm scared of him while I'm in the middle of getting stomach surgery and dying, and then I didn't know after. Then the guy like makes fun of my face for like how it was when I was sick. So I was like, you know what? I actually genuinely am in the place now where I just want to smash your face in. And then for him to pull out the first time, it was actually two times he canceled because he pulled out once because his toe was dislocated. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that was March 30th. And then the guy wouldn't do, all he had to do at the weigh in was a knuckle push out. Now, did he look like shit at the weigh in from cutting weight? Yeah, he did. I'm not going to lie and say he didn't. However, I have gone through that exact same thing. I shut up. I went and got hydrated, and I fought the next day. Motherfucker, you're a professional. Number one, I told him to stop cutting weight. I said, okay, you don't have to continue to cut weight. He missed weight by 3 pounds. Then he goes and tries to lay this big guilt trip, out of my control. This is fully in your control. You're a professional athlete. You have two jobs. You have to make weight and you have to fight. You didn't make weight, and now you're not going to fight. You're an absolute fucking waste man. He is a wanker's fucking paradise. And if any promoter touches him, you're just wasting your time. That guy is a fucking idiot. And I really hope I just get to see him in a gym one day or something and just beat the shit out of him. He's just a tool bag, but I will not do a training camp for him because that would be the biggest waste of my time that's ever existed. So,
All
yeah,
right.
I think the passion in my voice can tell you how I feel about Ryan Rohovich. If I can
Yes,
sum
yes,
it
it
all
can.
up in one syllable,
All right, final thing I have for you. Friday, old training partner Jeremy Kennedy takes on Patricio Pitbull for the title. Finally gets that featherweight strap chance at Bellator. How you see that fight playing out?
man, I think I think everyone's about to see how good Jeremy really is, man. He's one guy that when he's not in a room with me, I like he has no idea how highly I speak of him, man. I'm so proud of this guy. I remember watching him from like his battlefield days and just how hard he works and the dedication and consistency that he's kept, and he deserves it. He's going to become a world champion, and I don't think this fight's going to even look remotely close. I think Jeremy is going to pick this guy up, slam him on his head, slam him with elbows and punches, ground and pound, rinse and repeat till he probably gets like a ground and pound stoppage or chokes him out. I think Jeremy is really in his stride now, and he realizes how good he is and how good he is at the things that are effective for him. And when he's in that place in his mind mentally when he wants it, Jeremy is one of the best featherweights in all the world, and I can't wait to watch him get that belt strapped around his waist. And I don't think it's going to be remotely close, if I'm being completely honest. Jeremy is one guy that I hold in the highest regard of featherweights that I've trained with, and he's an absolute animal, and I'm so proud of him, and I can't wait to watch him win that belt.
He's Jamie Siraj. He should have been on this season of The Ultimate Fighter, but hopefully we see him inside that UFC cage within this calendar year. I truly believe you will be there, my friend. Can't wait to see you get back inside the cage. Hopefully within the next couple months, man.
Yeah, me too, man. And I know everything's gonna work out, and I know everything is on the trajectory up and up. There's been a lot of frustration, but at the end of the day, I know where I'm going. So I keep a smile on my face. I keep training, keep improving, and honestly, it's just gonna be absolute. It's gonna be an absolute nightmare for whoever I get in there next with. They have a lot of frustration that they are gonna receive on their face very quickly. So hopefully. Hopefully, we can get the name locked down soon and get back to work.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
Appreciate you, brother.